Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Gino, Buccola, taking a look at the first graded stakes race on Pacific Classic Saturday at Del Mar. It's all the way back in race number 4. Here's the field for the Torrey Pines. This is a grade 3, and it's worth $150,000 for 3-year-old fillies. 8 entered in here, and this division in Southern California unfortunately took a hit in the spring. You had some promising horses like Kinza and Copian, and we've all been waiting for Tamara to come back, and she's yet to do so. So these fillies are still trying to find their way, but nothing like you, the number 7, at least has that signature win in the Santa Anita Oaks.
Yeah, and if you're trying to beat her, right, she's not been a horse that's been able to pair that up. That's a kind of a buyer speed figure where she hit a 91, and then everything else for her has been kind of mid to upper 70s. So if you're playing her off those races, she looks vulnerable in this race. If she were to jump back up with something closer to that big effort, that's a ceiling. That's kind of an A game that we haven't seen the others show up with. I think you also have to ask the real question in here, Dan, about the way the pace shapes up, because we just don't have a lot of horses in here who are proven sitters or stalkers going a mile. A lot of these horses want to be forwardly placed and close up.
That's an excellent point. It could lead to a hot pace and maybe a meltdown. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector. Timeform US totally agrees with Gino's assessment. The 4 Desert Rhapsody has won her last 2 races when right up close to the pace. The number 3 Hope Road went gate to wire sprinting in her last 2 starts. And the number 1 Simply Enchanting couldn't make the lead last time, but she broke from a lousy post and was just basically forced very wide going into the first turn from the rail. I think she's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, you have a harder time finding horses who have come from off the pace in here because most of these horses have just been right on it or sitting really, really close. So who can be the one that takes advantage of the speed? Or is it a situation, Dan, where you have a horse like a Hope Road who's just so good they can just run away from this field?
Nothing Like You does have the fastest Timeform US late pace rating as indicated by the LP designation over the number 7 Chicklet. Let's start things off with Simply Enchanting. Simply Enchanting was 3rd in the Sunland Park Oaks 3 starts back, and only her second lifetime start. She was odds on that day, stretching out. It was a very fast pace. She disappointed. I don't know about her last 2. She ran okay at Churchill Downs. The last race to me is just a complete throwout. I'm still trying to figure out how good she is, but against this field, if she breaks and cuts the corner and makes the lead, she fits.
Yeah, I think for her, if she can sit a trip, maybe she can sit third behind 2 horses that are battling and fall into it, because I think she's better than her form. But I was kind of like with you, I was kind of hemming and hawing with her. I want to like her more than I do on paper because I feel like she's supposed to just be a little bit better. She's a half sibling to Vuitton. So maybe this sort of a trip going long, Vuitton was a multiple graded stakes winner going a mile and an eighth. If we see her doing this repeatedly, maybe this will be kind of the home for her. But yeah, she's okay. I just kind of have her on the bottom of exotics though.
And again, I have to reiterate, just the trip didn't work out for her last time, and that first level allowance was producing graded stakes horses. The winner came back to win the Monmouth Oaks, a grade 3 with an 89 buyer. Soho is the number 2. If you're looking for a complete X factor and a wild card, here's Soho trying dirt for the first time in her career. She's by City of Light. That's all dirt. The second dam, grade 3 winner on turf. The dam, grade 3 winner on the turf. There's a lot of turf in this pedigree, but these dirt workouts look pretty solid.
Yeah, that's what I liked about her for if you're going to look for a price, as you pointed out. And I project her to be sitting a little bit more in this race. While she has shown speed in some of her races, I don't think she's as fast as horses like Hope Road, Desert Rhapsody, Simply Enchanting. Sometimes that can just be like a blessing in disguise, right? When you just don't end up right there pushing it with them. And by default, you're sitting 4th or 5th early. I think that could help her in here. I actually think she's kind of a fun horse to use at the bottom of your exotics because maybe with that X factor of never being on the dirt, there is sort of a ceiling that we don't know about, and that could offer her some value.
And to her credit, she rallied from off the pace to win her debut going 5/8 of a mile. I agree with you. She's not fast enough to go with these horses on dirt. She could be sitting in the second flight in great position. Hope Road is the number 3. This filly is a very strong pedigree. Her dam Marley's Freedom was a grade 1 winner sprinting, but also a grade 3 winner going a mile. So there's hope that Hope Road can get the 2 turns. Here's her last race. Second consecutive win at Del Mar for Bob Baffert. She is 2 for 2 for Bob. It must be noted, however, she had everything her own way in this race. The fractions are not necessarily fast. The quality of competition, not necessarily good. And I just thought she had speed favoring tracks in her last two races.
Yeah, she has everything that you said is absolutely correct. But she may get the opportunity to catch a field again that just has a lot of question marks, right? We're going through this field. Nobody really scares the heck out of you. Her stablemate comes off of a disappointing effort where she was a beaten favorite last time out. You feel like if Baffert has the choice of which horses are going to go, this will be the one that goes, and Nothing Like You will probably be the one that sits off because we've seen her do that before. So yeah, she feels like the horse to beat. She feels like the horse they'll probably all have to catch in here. So I have a tough time leaving her out of multi-race exotics or any type of exotics.
The Four Desert Rhapsody, like Hope Road, won by open lengths on August the 4th and did so in front running style, helping out, I think, by the bias. She was a giant price in this race at 16 to 1. She certainly did not run like a 16 to 1 shot. They ran 1-2 all the way around the track. And while you want to say that the track perhaps was a major factor, you look at her PPs, she's become a completely different horse since they've stretched her out.
Yeah, and she actually sat a little bit 2 starts back when she broke her maiden, so she wasn't necessarily a horse who had to battle from the start. She could relax a little bit and then make her move early on in the race. So I don't have knocks on her overall as a horse. I just sort of need to see if that last figure was more of an outlier or if she can reproduce that at this level. I feel like if this was a race that didn't have as much early speed in it, I would throw her in and give her a shot, but I'm a little bit worried with the race shape and the class test both coming together at the same time for her.
Omaha Girl, the number 5, is a very difficult horse to evaluate. She won her first two starts on dirt as an early 2-year-old. You're not expected to get big buyers in those races, and she didn't. And then they threw her to the Wolves and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, and understandably, she didn't run very well. She's been competing exclusively on turf since then. It was nice to see her get a win around 2 turns last time out. Is she just a much better horse on turf, or is she still dirtied up by the fact that she hasn't really had an opportunity to strut her stuff on dirt as a mature horse?
Yeah, I think key for her too, can they do what Peyton did, right? Omaha. Can they call an
That's
audible
right.
and maybe come from off the pace a little bit? Check, just get a different trip because she's another that doesn't seem like she's as fast as some of the dirt horses in here. But I do think she's talented. And you can look at the San Clemente race. She lost to Ice Cream You Scream, who we also saw another rival in here. That's a really tough horse who's undefeated now and a grade 1 winner on the turf. So I could see her being a horse who, if they sit mid pack, she could absolutely be passing some tired horses late and hit the board.
Maybe the 6, Grand Slam Smile, a likable Calbred who's won 5 of what, 8 lifetime starts. Maybe she falls into a trip here, stretching back out around 2 turns. She won the Malaire going a mile and a 16th at Santa Anita at a short price. Here's her most recent start, the Fleet Treat. At 7/8 of a mile, she was odds on, and on paper, she looked like she was going to be very tough. She just got speed popped by a promising horse in Pushiness, a race where they ran 1-2 around the track. I think it's a good prep for this one, and maybe because she's a Calbred taking on open company again, she'll get lost in the shuffle from a wagering standpoint.
I think you'll get a very fair price on her, and probably, yeah, one of the few times in her career where she's actually been playable, and she'll have to prove it. Really, that's what it comes down to. I think sometimes the races against state breds and you're facing against lesser company, you're not being asked to go as fast, so you're not going to see the speed figures be quite as big. That doesn't really bother me as much. Again, I keep repeating this though. For her, another one in here where race shape, you just sort of project her to be really close to the lead. She has shown us that she can sit a little bit, but does she want to sit more than like a length or two off going a mile? I don't really know if she wants to be that far back. So I'm just a little bit worried about where she is early in this race and how much that will affect her late.
The 7, Nothing Like You, is the class of the race for Baffert, a multiple graded stakes winner. Looked good winning the Santa Anita Oaks. Frankie Dettori gave her a wonderful ride, got her forward, settled into the pocket. The rail opened up, and she just shot right on through to beat her more fancied stablemate Kinza. And she didn't back up that race off a 2-month layoff in the Summertime Oaks. She took a ton of money that day, and she didn't fire. I like that Baffert sort of regrouped here. 2.5-month layoff coming into this race, proven commodity around 2 turns, proven stalk and pounce tactics.
Yeah, and being drawn to the outside, I think helps her as well. She won't be forced down on the inside, so I think she'll be able to just get out of the gate on her own and then be able to pick a spot from out there. So what you look at this field, when you look at this field and you see she's the only graded stakes winner in here, and she's actually a multiple graded stakes winner. She's really the only horse that we've seen sit off horses going a mile. So she has a couple real strong points for her in this field that other horses just we haven't seen them do. So I think she's the horse to beat in here, Dan. I'm actually going to probably end up using her on top. It just comes down to price to me if she's a bettable horse in here, because I wouldn't be shocked to see her stablemate take a lot of money.
Back on Track, the number 8 was claimed for 40, a Calbred that would take advantage if this pace just happens to be a barbecue and it melts down. Back on Track, finished a rallying 4th in the Fleet Treat. We talked about that race. They ran 1-2 around the track. She might get a better flow here. I'm just not sure if she's this class of horse.
That's the key, right? The class in here. She could be passing some horses late, but she might also be the type of horse that could get outrun by some of these early on and just have a tough time keeping up with them.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 3 Torrey Pines. Nothing Like You is just simply the horse to beat in here, and you're going to go with the Baffert Exacta with Hope Road.
Yeah, I think they'll be both pretty forwardly placed in here. Nothing Like You maybe sitting off a little bit more to the outside. If you're looking for prices, we both threw in the 2. Soho, we think is a wild card, a new face on the dirt after having some turf success. And then at the bottom of the exotics, I'll throw in the 1 Simply Enchanting, who I just feel like she's better than what we've seen. But as we were pointing out, I don't really have that many legitimate excuses for maybe her 2 and her 3 back races.
I'm concerned that the 3 and the 4 took advantage of speed favoring tracks and friendly pace scenarios when they won their last 2 starts, but you could also make the case maybe Hope Road just needed the layoff to mature and she's now at her very best and can stretch out. Desert Rhapsody has looked good going a mile. If Nothing Like You stubs her toe, I'd go on with those 2. 3-4-7-2 for me, 7-3-2-1 for Gino. Grade 3 Torrey Pines. We're just kicking off the graded stakes action on Pacific Classic Saturday at Del Mar. Good luck.